Sorry about that. I think we're live now. I had a couple of hiccups there. And so if anybody can hear me, go ahead and say something in the chat. Say hello. I'll just, if you could. Sorry about that. You can hear me. Say hello in the chat. All right, welcome everybody. So I just want to come on. It's Sunday afternoon. It's about 1:50 my time, Mountain Time, and I just wanted to come on and open up a few charts, talk natural gas, talk crude oil, and talk gold, and just go through the futures, look at them, see how they're looking today, how they're looking, and for the upcoming week. Maybe look at some larger time frames like the weekly chart or even the daily chart, and we could talk about maybe what to expect for the upcoming week. That was the whole premise of this. So if anybody has any questions, throw them in the chat. I'm just going to start diving in. If you can hear me, let me know. I scheduled this event rather than just going live. So, hey, Julian, there you are. Can you hear me, Julian? If you can hear me, give me a yes. Can you hear me talking, Julian? Can you hear me talking? If you can, we'll just dive in and get started. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me. All right, perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and take a peek. I'm going to switch over to Thinkorswim, and we're going to dive into a few charts and just do some breakdowns, look at some larger time frames, talk about the upcoming week. We do have the holiday this week, so on Thursday, the markets are going to be closed, and then just so everybody knows, Friday usually has a little bit of a holiday hangover, so momentum's usually lower, things just are a little less fluid the day after a holiday, and then you're going right into the weekend. So be careful if you're trading on Friday. It could be a little choppy and a little strange. Just FYI. All right, let's flip over. Let's take a look here, and let's bring up some charts. Let's just see what we can kind of get into. So what I think I'll start off with is looking at, let's get everybody's favorite. Let's go /NG here. Julian, how's your weekend been? I'm going to flip over to the weekly chart real quick, and we'll just take a quick peek at this. Oh, Robert, thank you. I was not aware of that. It closes, okay, we're 3 hours, that's East Coast time. So Robert says that market closes 1 p.m. on Wednesday. That's good to know. I actually did not know that. Welcome, Robert. Good to have you. All right, so I'm just looking at /NG, just taking a peek at it on the weekly chart. It's a big time frame. I just want to see sort of the overall trend. We'll start with the biggest time frame that I look at, and then just sort of dwindle it down and focus in on a little more micro or granular level. So you can see /NG has been somewhat of a downtrend, but kind of flat with a couple little peaks here and there. So it does show a little bit of life as if it's going to start trending up. And then it seems to come back down, cross underneath this EMA, and then sort of hug it and stay just below it. Another peak here, and then another drop. So right now, if I focus in on the weekly, we are in a downtrending weekly chart. So we got a lower low, lower high, then we have another lower low, another lower high, and then we just came in and we almost sort of went sideways here this week and then dropped. So really this might be our official lower low, if we can get a push back up just a little bit. But so nothing too significant. So let's go from the weekly chart and let's pop over to the daily, and let's just see what we've got here. And I'll grab a max time frame on this as well. We'll get that loading up, just making sure the health of the stream is okay. All right, I think we're still pretty good there. All right. Okay, so back to the chart. So if we zoom out a little bit, you can see that we are actively in a downtrending portion of the, well, since we kind of started that back in January, and /NG futures have just been slowly kind of trailing down. So from this EMA, or this simple moving average area, I'm just going to zoom in on that and just kind of look at this. So this is our daily chart, and you can see it's been slow and kind of sideways, but generally drifting lower. So that's good to know, generally drifting lower. And then I'm going to kind of hone in on the 4-hour. Let's just see what that looks like. I like to do this just because it gives me a way to conceptualize overall what's happening. So downtrend, daily downtrend. Now we're on the 4-hour chart, and you can see the 180-day simple moving average. You know, it comes up, gets rejected off of it, comes down, spend a little time here, but then dip below again, spend a little time, dip below. So what it looks like to me right now is there could be the possibility of this being a little small uptrend, maybe back into this simple moving average, and then maybe we'll roll over and get rejected again. But like some of these other areas, I want to wait for that confirmation that we're always talking about. You can see this one uptrended and then had a sell-off, and some people may have been tempted to get short right there by buying DGAS long, but then it just set up a nice level of support and then popped and kept going. So we got to wait for that confirmation. This sell-off, push down. So I think here, for example, on that 4-hour chart, you know, if this would have broken down below this level, if we'd have come up and then gone lower, that might have been a good confirmation point for /NG moving south. But instead it kind of moved sideways, gave us another pop up, still not as high as this one, but then rolled over again and then really sold off. So down here with this pullback, this is a nice confirmation in here on the 4-hour chart that we were going lower. So you could have, you know, jumped on board and got, you know, that's about 6.5% to that bottom point right there. But that's the 4-hour. Let me look at the chat here. Let's see. Do you think nat gas is a good buy now and hold to the fall? You know what, Robert? It's interesting with these ETFs. I'm really hesitant to hold them. They're 3 times leveraged. So what makes them really nice is that they move a lot. So, you know, if you're trading DGAS and you're getting into a, you know, I'll go to DGAS real quick. And let's just go to let's go to a 2-minute chart on DGAS. Look at this range it put in. So it was at 149.25, and in the pre-market it was up in the 162 area, 162.25. So you're talking, you know, 10, 22, 23. I mean, it can move in such a big range, which is good. But if you buy and hold, you could end up, you know, buying at 158 and then getting a gap down to 149. It has really big moves. So personally for me, I'm not holding any of these that long. I'm going to go ahead and maintain just day trades on these things, just because the overnight hold for me feels like a little too much risk, like I'm a little overexposed. But if you see a good opportunity on the larger time frame, Robert, and you feel like it's a good deal, you feel like, yeah, that, you know, works for your style and your risk tolerance, and of course you're going to want to take a size that's appropriate, maybe a smaller size than you normally would, because you do have more exposure to the risk. So it could be a you know, natural gas itself looks like it's selling off in the larger time frame. So something like DGAS might be your opportunity for buying something. So if we go to the daily chart, you can see we've crossed over that EMA right there. So if we continue to set, so like if we break this high here, so we set higher high, higher low, higher high, possibly higher low. If we go higher again, that could be a possible long position on DGAS as natural gas sells off. But again, for me, it would just be for a short hold during the day. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of the way that I would approach that. So we looked at the 4-hour chart on /NG. Yeah, so I think for natural gas, just looking at it, it seems like it's going to work its way back up to this 180-day moving average and then possibly dip above it or push above it and then roll over and go lower. That's sort of just been the trend. You can kind of see it just kind of keeps interacting with the line and then going lower, going lower, going lower. So I would be bearish on /NG, which would make me want to jump in on DGAS possibly this week if we get the right setup and things are looking right. Is UGAS the play for fall? Oh, so I think what you're asking, Robert, is about when people start getting colder weather and they start using more natural gas. And yes, when that happens and demand goes up and price goes up in natural gas, UGAS will fall in step with it and move right along with it. So yes, the fall is typically when that happens. So we can keep an eye out for that. So that was /NG. Let's just pop over and look at /GC for gold. And let's go back. Let's take a look at our, you want to go in Q, Julian? Let's do in Q. And give me 1 second, be right back. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so /NQ. Let's go to the weekly. Let's go max on that, and let's see if we can get a handle on, oh wow. So /NQ, yeah, definitely uptrending. However, we have had a little double top here that sold off and then recovered. So we could be setting up a resistance up here to possibly roll over, but that's a beautiful weekly chart. That big dip, we all know what that was around the end of the year last year, pushed right back up, pulled back, and then we're right back there. So super strong on the weekly. Let's look at the daily here. And I'm going to grab last 20 years on that. Let's zoom out. Yeah, again, following the same pattern. So the /NQ looks a lot like the Qs and the SPY as well. So you could see possibility of a ceiling here for a bit. So you might get a pullback. We might be in a range. It's tough to say right now, but we are setting higher highs and higher lows on the daily chart. Higher high, higher low. So if we get a break of this 77 or 7,800 level right in here, it could be potential to go higher. But ultimately, if we get a break of this high, then we should be looking great. Should get a push above, a pullback, maybe into a support level. We want this to become a support level. If that happens, if we get something like a nice push up, nice breakout, and then a pullback into this level and then go long, we'll be looking really, really good on /NQ. Let's go to the 4-hour on it. 180-day 4-hour chart. Yeah, so we touched this. This is a big overhead resistance at the 78, 79 area. Then we had that sell-off. We're pushing back down. Then we rebounded. We reclaimed the 180-day simple moving average, then pulled back and then broke. So we got confirmation. So if you'd have got in here at all, that would have been a good move up. But now we're sort of rolling a little bit on the 4-hour. You can see we set a lower high, and then we came down and set a lower low, a lower high here, a lower low here, a lower high here. So wow, guys, this might be /NQ moving into the 4-hour may be a possible move to the downside if this in fact becomes a lower high. If it does, and you see a break of this low right here, then I think what we're going to want to do is go ahead and flip over to the TQQ over here. And this is what you're going to want going hold on, sorry, SQQQ. You want the inverse ETF of it because it does look like it could go lower. So if it breaks that lower low, then we'll be looking at the inverse ETF SQQQ for a possible move up. So my guess is that this line here, this is that low on the futures chart for /NQ that we want to break. So if I go back over here real quick, and so this level right in here that we were talking about, that level there, if it breaks down, is basically the equivalent of this level here breaking up. So if we get a breakup above that level, then you could take it there or wait for a little pullback to go long. But this is looking interesting. And what I would look to do possibly is, if we took it above this line, I would be looking to hold it until just before this 180-day simple moving average, so which is about 6.5% away. So that could be a potentially good move. That could be super interesting. I'm going to go to the 2-minute chart just to look at it real quick. Yeah, here's an example right here. Robert, we were talking about how I don't like to hold overnight. You know, if you'd have bought something in here and then immediately after the market closed, you know, we're at 34.70. So not as big a jump on this one, but you know, like with anything, just exposure overnight can be a little tough. So just be careful on that. Let's go back to /NQ. All right, I'm going to pop over to GC real quick. If there's any questions, just throw them out. I'm just sort of going through the 3 main futures that I like to take a look at. And I want to look at gold now, just because gold had a nice pullback, and then it's been trying to reclaim this level. And what it's essentially been doing is creating sort of a range right here. So if you look at that, and then sort of like this in here, you can see that it's sort of been trapped in this range, a quick dip below, but it recovered, and it's just been staying inside here. And now, if we zoom in a little closer, you can see we just broke out. So gold with JNUG, which is the correlating ETF for /GC, this might be a really nice time to start making a consideration there. If we get a pullback and a bounce, that could be really interesting. If we go to the daily chart, yeah, look at those lines we drew. We got a push up, a pullback, almost down into this 15 EMA, but that's really interesting with a nice doji there. Yeah, we'll have to see kind of what happens. It could possibly set lower highs, lower lows temporarily, just getting back down to this possible support level and then go long. But that's a really interesting chart. And on the 4-hour, we've had the higher high, higher low, higher high. So we're kind of setting lower highs and lower lows for the time being. So I think we'd have to watch this one and just see what it looks like if it comes back down and rests on this level and then heads back to the north side. That could be really interesting. But one thing that I've been what I like to do when I'm day trading the 1-minute chart, the 1-day 1-minute chart on something like gold with JNUG is, you know, when you're watching this, let's say that we're in a downtrend and we're trying to get down to this level to bounce. This little downtrend that we're in, if it lasts a few days, looking at the 1-day 1-minute chart, I would be more likely to look for a position on something like JDST, the inverse ETF, just until we get down to this level. Then when we start showing an uptrend on the larger time frame, then I'm more likely to take a long position on the intraday time frame on JNUG. I kind of let the larger time frame sometimes sort of slant the probabilities in my favor. If the larger time frame says it's moving up, then on something like /GC, I'd be looking at JNUG on the 1 day, 1 minute. And you could still take something on JDST on the 1 day, 1 minute, the inverse ETF, but probabilities are probably slanted in your favor if you're looking at JNUG. So for whatever that's worth, just a little information on that. Anybody have any other questions on anything? Just taking a quick look here. Yeah, so back to the daily chart. So those are kind of the rough thoughts on those three futures for the upcoming week. I do like this GC though. I like this line we drew on the larger time frame. That showed some interesting, because it's just been ranging around for a while. So this could very well turn over and head right back south, but chances are we might get a little bit of a bounce here. But in the meantime, while it's working its way back down, we could take advantage of the 1 day, 1 minute chart on something like JDST and see what happens there. Go back to natural gas. All right, questions. Ask anything. Anybody have any questions? I think the stream is still working well. I think we've got I think we're okay here, just double checking everything. Has the weekend been good for everyone? I think it's just Julian, Robert. There might be a third person in here. Anyone else in the chat room, just say hello. I'd like to meet everybody. Let's see, Robert. Do I look for the small caps in the PM for a trade? I don't trade any small caps. I trade mid caps and above. When I scan for stocks, I set up my scanner for anything 2 billion and above. And I tell you what, let me, yeah, 2 billion and above is kind of what I go for. So if I show you this scanner, this is kind of my pre-market scanner that I have, and with Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade, and I just set it up for between $10 and $2,000 for stocks. This volume doesn't really even matter right now. Just want it to have 5,000 volume in the pre-market. But this is the key right here. 2,000. They make you put it in millions. So 2,000 million and up. So basically, market cap of 2 billion and higher is what I like. The small caps are just a little too risky and too. I don't like that a lot of them are pumped up and then they drop. I think the way the charts trade, the candle patterns, I think things are a little off sometimes with the small caps. I'm just not able to read them as well. Not saying they're a bad thing to trade. A lot of people do it. A lot of people make great money doing it. But for me personally, I'm a little more risk averse and don't like to necessarily get into that. Anything else we want to take a look at? Okay, Robert, 50 cents to $8. Okay, yep. Yeah, so you and I are like just exact opposite. You're 50 cents to 8, and I'm 10 and up. 10 sort of arbitrary. You know, if a stock is You know, some stocks like Ford, I think right now is trading around 9. So I'll go lower as long as it's a mid cap, large cap, mega cap up. I just like the liquidity of it. I like knowing that if I want to buy 10,000 shares, it's going to execute immediately. I'm not going to have to, I won't have any fill problems. Penny stocks are a bit too volatile, but you can make some good money. Yeah, you're right, Julian. You can make a ton. You can make a ton of money. My SMA right here is set 180 day SMA. You can see up here on the green, it says 100. Keep jumping around. Right above my cursor here, it says 180. So this green one is 180 day. I like using that intraday, as you can see on the 28th, right in here. I like to have that because it's just another point people watch that causes support and resistance issues. So yeah, set to 200, set to 180. Sorry. Got the VWAP bands on there, and then this is just a 15 exponential moving average for sort of more micromanagement on the 2-minute and the 1-minute chart. But yeah, what else are we looking at? And do you guys like this? I was hoping to get a few more people in here so we could kind of get some stock talk going around, get some ideas for the week. But I think we've only got, three people in here right now, so which is awesome. But I was hoping to get some more folks to share some ideas. But I will be back on again tomorrow at some point. I'm trying to release my trade recap video during the day, and then I try to do something related to ETFs. Let me know if you guys prefer me to upload a video on ETFs, or if you prefer me to go live on ETFs. And there it is, Julian. Zillow. Yeah, let me know if you guys like me going live, or if you want me to go and stick to just uploading an ETF video instead of doing a live video. All right, so we got the daily chart. Let's look at Zillow. Let's back up Zillow. Okay, so Zillow's looking similar, obviously, to the /NQ. Had the sell-off, trying to recover, did recover, and now we're kind of at this point of, yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. So on this, we did get a higher high and sort of a higher low. So we set this low up kind of around that peak. So that peak might be possibly acting as support now. So I would say with Zillow, confirmation on this would be if we do get a break sort of above this level, you know, ideally above this wick at 48.67, but it's possible we get a rollover a couple more times and then a go. But I would watch this probably anywhere above $48.50. Things would be looking really good. It does technically now have this little baby lower high, lower low. So we definitely need to get over this high. So we definitely need to get over 47 for me to consider a long position. If it doesn't break that and it rolls over, then I would be looking at it short back down to this support level right here. But if we get out of this range and break higher, then Zillow will be looking really good to the long side. Do I ever trade live at open on a live stream? You know, I haven't, Robert. I was hoping at some point I could with the channel. I've been trying to build the channel so that I can get a little larger and get it monetized and be able to put more time into it. And I did have a thought about going live at the market open and just live streaming the trading to start off the day. But I have not yet done that. That's an idea. That's something that I'd like to get into. And if you guys would like to see that, definitely let me know, and I'll continue to think about that, or ask me again at a later time if I'm going to do it, but I haven't yet. Yeah, so Zillow looks interesting. Looks like it's almost having a little bull flag pullback here. You can kind of see this here, and kind of see that there. So a little consolidation before it rips higher. This is strong, so if we do get a pop above, it might be a little overextended. So ideally, if we got one more little pullback and then a pop, that might be even stronger than if it pops tomorrow. But we'll see what happens. Give me one more second, guys. All right. Any other question? Let's see. Tesla near the downward sloping trend on the daily chart. Let's look at Tesla. I haven't traded Tesla in a while. I feel like it's looked so interesting. Oh, yeah. So Tesla, oh yeah, look at that. What did you say? Downward sloping trending. So yeah, that's super interesting because you can see over here, Julian, way back here. Look at this. You see how that's set up? Those two bounces right there, you see how they were reflected here? We got a bounce right off that level. So yeah, that's really interesting. We got a higher high and a higher low, higher high, higher low. So yeah, this is actually looking like a nice, wow. Tesla might be in a good position for a long tomorrow if it kind of holds up. We got a bounce, we got this push up, we got this higher high, then a pullback to this higher low, then we went back, higher high, came back down, got a higher low, and now we've sort of stalled a little bit, but I think if we get above 220, I would say if we get above 226, that might be looking really good to go long. We might want to keep an eye on that. I'm going to actually put that on the watch list for tomorrow just to see what that one does, because that does look like it could possibly be a long play. Thank you, Julian. That's awesome. Nice little bounce right there. That's perfect. Any other questions from anybody? This is great. I appreciate you guys coming on and hanging out on a Sunday with barely any notice. Another one I'm watching this week is AMD. I don't know if any of you are watching it, but first of all, look at the sweet weekly chart. Look at this thing. Bounce, 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 bounce. It just looks like it's wedging into this tight pattern, and that we're going to get this pop above 34.30 and go. Then if I go down to the daily chart, same thing. Just skipping right along this trend line. It's looking beautiful. And we have had a lower or a higher low, but then a lower high, lower low, and then a slightly lower high. So we'll see what happens. This could come down and bounce again and go. But yeah, keep an eye on AMD. AMD is just interesting. Obviously, do your own research and don't take my thoughts as an absolute thing that's going to happen. But I'm positioning myself to try to play this tight squeeze with a hopeful pop above at that point. Tesla's above 180-day EMA on the 4-hour. Yes, it is. Julian, do you use the 180-day or do you use a 200-day simple moving average in your charts? That is really nice though. Look at that. Popped above, sort of failed, came back, and now it tested it and did not. Yeah, that's really nice. So if we get a higher high, higher low coming in, another one, That might be a nice position to go long, just to get some good confirmation on it. But that's a great. That looks really nice. Yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm really curious. This will be really interesting. But yeah, Tesla's been wild. You use 180 day. Okay, okay. Robert, you use 200 daily. Yeah, I should plot them both on there and just see if I notice any difference on them. I've used the 200 in the past, but right now just using the 180, and it seems to be working pretty good. I feel like I have a good understanding now of the fact that the line is not an exact bounce point. It's a range. So, leeway on either side of the line is still in play. So, um, but yeah, I'll have to maybe play with that. All right, guys, if you don't have any other questions, I think I'm going to jump off and get a few things done and then get prepared for the morning. So tomorrow morning, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be up early and I'm going to be watching this 1 minute chart. And my plan is just going to be to start watching things out here when things are sort of bouncing. I just want to watch the price action. I want to start to establish my floors and my ceilings. Want to see what things are going to happen, what's happening, what lines are in play, and try to get a nice trade on natural gas, maybe right away in the morning. If something gets way overextended, or yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But I love seeing that that early morning stuff start to set up good lines of support and resistance. What group that I'm in? What group are you in, Robert? Is that like a trading? Is it like a trading chat room? I'm curious to know what group you're part of. TTG. Yeah, I agree, Julian. Yeah, I agree. 180 to 200, roughly the same. What's TTG, Robert? I've never heard of TTG. I don't know what that is. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Small group today, but we broke down a few stocks. True Trading Group. Oh, I'll have to look that up. Do they focus on smaller cap? Are they penny stocks primarily? True Trading Group. Okay, I'll look that up. Well, guys, I really appreciate you stopping by. This was great. Happy Sunday. This week will be interesting. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be a lot of fun to get trading, but as Wednesday closes out early, things are going to slow down. Awesome. Thanks, Julian. All right. Have fun this weekend. We'll see you tomorrow. Do you guys prefer a live ETF recap video tomorrow, or do you prefer me upload something that I put together that is just an upload on YouTube? I'll look them up, Robert. Yeah, absolutely. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Thanks for stopping.